everyone, today I'm going to make vegan stuffing. This recipe is one of my favorites. It has dried fruit and nuts, and you can add a vegan meat replacement in it if you'd like, and it's just really good. All right, so let's get started. For this recipe, you're going to need 2 cups of vegetable stock, a loaf of bread. I think I'm going to use a half loaf of sourdough and a half loaf of ciabatta. About a 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar or a dry white wine to deglaze your pan with, an onion, 2 leeks, about 4 stalks of celery, a half cup of dried cherries or whatever kind of dried fruit you'd like, a half cup of toasted almonds that I'm going to chop, or I might also use a 1/4 cup of toasted almonds and a 1/4 cup of toasted walnuts. Hazelnuts would also be good too. I'm also going to use a vegan meat replacement, and these are veggie crumbles from a brand called Boga. I bought 1 bag and I'll probably use about a cup. You'll also need some fresh thyme, some parsley, and some salt and pepper, of course. The first thing you should do is the night before you make this recipe, cut your bread up into 1-inch cubes and lay them out on a baking sheet to dry out. This will prevent your vegan stuffing from becoming soggy. The next thing you should do is toast the nuts you'll be using. You can either do this in a skillet like I'm doing here, or in an oven set at 350 degrees. If you're toasting them in a skillet, you can do this over medium heat, stirring them often until they become fragrant. The next thing you should do is melt some non-dairy butter in your skillet. Then you can add in your onion, leeks, celery, a little bit of thyme, some parsley, and salt and pepper to taste. Stirring often, let everything cook until lightly browned. Once all of my vegetables were cooked, I placed them aside in a separate bowl and started cooking my vegan veggie crumbles. This was a very quick process. I just heated them up, and once they were hot, added them to a bowl with my cubed bread. I didn't have a bowl big enough to hold all of the bread, so I used 2 smaller bowls. I then went ahead and added my leek, celery, and onion mixture to the bowls as well. If you have a lot of leftover veggie crumbles in your pan, you can deglaze your skillet using apple cider vinegar or some white wine. Next, you can melt about 8 tablespoons of non-dairy butter in your skillet. Once it's all melted, you can pour it over your bread cube mixture. Then I added the toasted almonds, walnuts, and dried cherries. Finally, you can add your vegetable stock. I ended up only using about 1½ cups. Once everything is all mixed together, you can place all of your ingredients back in your cast iron skillet to bake. I cooked mine in a 350-degree oven for about 30 minutes. After about 30 minutes, your stuffing should be golden brown and smelling amazing. So the vegan stuffing turned out deliciously. The dried cherries add a little bit of sweetness, and because of all the moisture from the vegetable stock, they get kind of plump and they're not dried out and chewy like they are when you take them out of the bag. They're plump and delicious in the stuffing. And I used a combination of nuts. As you saw, I used toasted almonds and toasted walnuts, and the toasting them really brings out the flavor. One thing that I did do that I wouldn't suggest is I toasted my almonds and walnuts in a cast iron skillet, and so because that has such a thick bottom, it took much longer to toast them. So use a thinner pan if you're toasting them, or just you can do it in the oven. But all in all, the recipe turned out really well. I liked the addition of the vegan meat replacement. I didn't use very much because I was a little bit worried that I wouldn't like the way it tasted in there, but it was great. And I'd suggest, I used probably about 1/4 of a bag, but you could go ahead and use half a bag or even a whole bag if you'd like. If you try this recipe, I would love to hear how it turns out. Let me know in the comments down below, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!